What's going on, guys? Dan back here with the Regular Guy Garage. As you saw in the last video, we've got the car pretty much running. Now we're starting to work out small issues. One thing I did, I kind of just distanced myself from the project for a day or so, and then I dove into researching the Holley system, how to use it. I went into the actual Holley software on my laptop. A lot of changes that I had to make, which were wrong, and I think we're going to be on the right track now. A lot of it was for some reason, base tune, the idle air control was saying it was a GM one, which it is not. This is obviously a Ford. And then what was some other things? Oh, the injectors. I just put like 36-pound injectors and figured like, yeah, it should be good. But I had to actually go in, and since these specific 36-pound injectors were not inputted into the Holley system, I had to go in and then input every single specification, basically like minimum opening second and all this other stuff that I had to look up on Holley's website and some of the forums and stuff. Was able to get that all ironed out. So now I'm actually pretty confident that when I start the engine itself, it will actually run it will probably run much smoother. Or plus there's some other things that I was supposed to basically adjust the throttle blade, reset the TPS. I wasn't doing that. I was just adjusting the throttle blade. So anyway, got a lot of that stuff ironed out, but now I have an additional problem. So if you don't remember from the last video, I was going through batteries like crazy. Like I would use it, it wouldn't start. I would use a different battery, charge this one. Then I was like, okay, then the starter was not really turning over well. So I was like, okay, let me do a starter solenoid. Figured that would work. I did the starter solenoid, then that actually worked. The other one was smoking, so clearly that starter solenoid was bad. And then it got to the point where I had the engine running, I was starting to work on some of the idle stuff, and the car just died, like immediately died. And I'm like, okay, where am I gonna go from here? So go to start it back up, and it wouldn't start, it just clicked. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe the battery's dead. So I take a different battery, the one from my trailer, put it in here, which is fully charged, another click. Nothing would work. So I'm figuring, okay, maybe I burned up the starter trying to start it a bunch of times. So I go replace the starter, which I'd always thought was pretty tough to do on a car, on a Fox with long tube headers, but it wasn't too bad. So got the starter changed. And now that I have the starter changed, I figure, okay, I'm good to go. The issue is when I turn the key, it just clicks. I'm not gonna do it now because I already unhooked the battery. But anyway, I hear the solenoid engage and click, but it's just not doing anything. So I'm almost confident, and it's actually funny because I made this joke to Gearhead704 in the comment section the other day, that I'm gonna have to change the ignition solenoid on this thing. Every single Foxbody I've ever owned, I've had to change or the ignition switch, sorry. Every single Foxbody I've owned, I've had to change the ignition switch. And with the symptoms that I have right now, it looks like that's where we're at. So I'm gonna get this steering wheel little section apart really quick. It's a quick, easy fix. It's not really that big of a deal, and they're super cheap. So let me pull this thing apart and see if that's actually our issue. All right, so if you ever do find yourself changing the ignition switch on a Foxbody, which if you own one, you probably either have or will, it goes right there. There's the two bolts. Now, the bolt is called a tamper-proof. The bolt head takes a tamper-proof Torx bit. Now, this isn't a regular Torx bit, even though it's the same size. So here I have a regular set of Torx bits, which will not work, though a set of pliers will work. However, what you should do is just pick up a set of tamper-proof Torx bits. Okay, this way you can do it the right way, instead of tearing up the bolt head or possibly not tightening it all the way with a pair of pliers. All right, well, after fiddling with this thing for I don't know how long last night, getting frustrated, being over it, this all could have been easily fixed or found out if I had a voltmeter, which I don't. So I feel like an idiot just changing parts, like, oh, it's gotta be this, oh, it's gotta be that, it's gotta be the starter, it's gotta be whatever. And in the end, it ended up being a part that I had changed literally that same day. So I had changed this starter solenoid, which, I mean, you can see I was jumping it to see if it would actually work. And when I jumped it, it would start the car, so I figured this was okay. But then what I decided to do was try and jump it from the ignition, and it wouldn't rotate. It wouldn't turn the engine over, but it would from these connections. Now I had just literally, this, you could tell it's brand new. I had just changed this, right? Because the other one previously had broke. And then when I changed it, this was working. But apparently the $15 one was, it lasted 5 starts and then it stopped working. So I finally decided, you know what, this thing's gotta be bad. Let me get another one. So I purchased the heavy duty one, and the thing fires up like, I mean, better than before. Right, I had bought this H pipe. I bought it for $100. It actually is for a 96 to 04, but 79 to 04 is pretty much the same exhaust. So I bolted this up. So now this way our wideband, which let me crawl under here. So now the Holley system has a wideband that, as you can see it right there. So now essentially what was happening was, even though I was starting the car, the wideband isn't reading correctly because it's at the very end of the pipe. It's getting thrown off, so it's just doing all sorts of crazy stuff to try and keep the engine running, and it's stalling out. But now that we got the rest of the pipe on, it actually allows the wideband to read the AFR, and then the computer will then make adjustments off that, correctly, instead of just saying that it's like super rich or super lean, and then the thing is just bouncing all over the place. But I kind of suspect that was happening, but at the same time, I just wanted to get the engine running to see if it would just idle kind of for a minute, make sure I didn't have no crazy oil leaks or water leaks or anything like that. So right now I'm gonna get the car back out of the garage and start it up and maybe take it for a couple short rides. All right, guys, so I ended up changing the idle air control in the car. First and foremost, let me say, I am an idiot. However, huge thank you. He doesn't even know he helped me. But Bruto Vlogs, if you don't watch him, go watch him. I'm sure if you're watching me, you probably watch him because he's like the Foxbody king right now, or at least one of them. But I was pulling my hair out with this thing. The idle was surging like crazy up and down, couldn't get it to be stable. I was messing in the tuning studio, the freaking Holley tuner thing with the idle air control valve, thinking like something's wrong, I can't figure this out. Like, I was getting super frustrated, so I just distanced myself with it for like a couple hours or whatever. And then I'm watching, Googling, watching some of his videos. He has one where he's talking about fixing a surging idle on a bigger cam Foxbody. Granted, this isn't like a big cam, but their issue ended up being too much timing. And so I thought, I mean, could that really be an issue with mine? Because really all I did was just set the idle back, or set the, drop the distributor back in where they had it marked. So I don't know if you can see, there's a mark on the engine block. Now my finger's there. It's right there. And then there's that black mark where they had, the timing was actually set on the there was a notch on the opposite side of that. So this thing was rotated, the distributor's rotated this way a lot more. So I basically put number one at top dead center, dropped it back in, and figured, hey, it ran like that before, which I got a little water leak right there. I'll have to tighten that up. Anyway, but so it ran before, and I figured like, okay, we should be good, with this as it is. Issue was, I couldn't get a clear reading on timing. I'm thinking something else is wrong. All it was just way too much timing. As soon as I ran that timing, that distributor back counterclockwise, it brought that timing all the way down, and I was able to set a nice 10-degree base idle for the time being. So, minor disaster-ish thing type, whatever, averted. Got the car to where, hey, at least now we're idling. I'm running Now I can start messing with the other stuff. It's way too rich right now, you know, big weight off my shoulders. I was really worried thinking I messed something up, and really, well, granted I did. All I had to do was turn the distributor clockwise a little bit, set my base timing. Perfect. I got my idle screw good. Small adjustments left to do with the throttle body. Essentially what you have to do with these is adjust the idle screw to move the throttle blade in this way. Holley wants the idle air control to read, which is right here. They want that to read between 2 and 10%. I think I'm about 15 right now, but I put so much fuel in this thing because I thought that was an issue, which it wasn't. That now it's way too rich. It's popping out of the exhaust really bad. But we at least got that figured out. I'm gonna show you what adjustments I'm gonna make inside the little Holley studio thing. I'm really only adjusting the idle for the tune. As you can see, this is essentially what I was dealing with, which this green line is pretty much where the fueling was in the actual, you know, in the engine. So basically, you know, the map sensor was just, it was, I mean, all over the map, no pun intended. And I would make small adjustments, and I would actually get the thing to kind of somewhat hone in on one area, but it just was never right. So what I ended up doing was finding out that that was the issue, and then now let me pull up a data log to show you what I'm actually dealing with now. All right, guys, so now when I pull up my most recent video here, what you actually see is that, you know, data log overlay that was all over the map here, now we're confined to essentially one main block, and then it's bleeding over into 2 other blocks. So really, and honestly, it's a little bit, it's running just a tad bit rich right now. So all I really need to do is start fine-tuning these 3 cells right here, and then maybe the other ones around it, just to keep my idle essentially, you know, pretty much right here in this block right here. But as you can see, just based off that alone, all I did was retard the timing. I just retarded it all the way back, and then I started from, you know, the basement basically, and worked my way up to 10 degrees, which I should have honestly did from the start. But I mean, hey, live and learn. You know, sometimes you just kind of get in a groove, and it's better just to take a step back and reset yourself. So I've made some adjustments. These numbers were actually higher. I want to say this 48 was like a 49.5, and I think you know, this one was in the 50s or whatever. So I lowered these a little, and then I also kind of lowered the ones just right around it in case it kind of bounces around. But I'm trying to keep it pretty much in this block. In between these 2 blocks right here is actually where I think I should wind up. But this should, so it was running rich. I took a little bit of fuel out of it, and this should get us to the air fuel ratio that we're looking to be in. So let me go ahead and crank it up, and we will see if we are in the right spot. So the way to upload these files is actually pretty simple. So I don't have a Y like splitter connector or whatever, so I basically have to make the changes on the computer with the SD card, then put it back in here. But basically just turn the key on, it'll start it up, or sometimes you can even leave the key on too and do it. Go to File, Global Configs, and then this is just 331 base because I'm doing with base idle. As you can see, these are all the other ones which I'm going to more than likely delete. Upload that one. Yes, come on. Okay, so now it's uploading. Does it super quick. Cycle the ignition off. Forward back on. And we'll see how she runs now. That doesn't sound right. All right, so I'm over here trying to make adjustments, and then I ran out of gas. So I have to undo the adjustments that I just made, which always save your changes under a different file name. This way you can just go back to the file that you were just in. All right, so I'm data logging this section really quick. It's still running pretty rich because I had made that adjustment and I didn't save it. So I'm gonna log it real quick, see what it's at, make the adjustment, and then check it again. All right, guys, so what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get the car to target around 13.5 AFR, air fuel ratio, for idle, just to kind of get a baseline from there and see where we're at. Because I had put a bunch of fuel back in it, I'm down to 12.0 basically, between 12, 11, 6, way too rich. But that's because when I thought I was running out of fuel, I started adding fuel in the log instead of adding fuel in the tank like an idiot. So I'm going to just dive in really quick. As I said, I should have just saved the thing, but I'm an idiot and I forgot to. So actually, let's try that and see where we're at. So I don't know if you guys heard that, but I'm assuming that was probably regular gas that I put in the tank. It's what came out of the old tank, and it's pinging a little bit. So I'm gonna pull about a degree of timing out of the idle, maybe 2, and then see. I also have to add a little more fuel, just based off that. I didn't even really have to data log it, but I could tell that it's still running lean. So I'm gonna mess around with it a little bit, and then we'll show you guys the finished product when I get done with it. That we're looking for. IAC between 2 and 10. Everything's looking pretty good so far. All right, guys, so that's where we're at with the car. We got it idling pretty good. I did take it up and down my little driveway area here a couple times. The car, you know, rolls pretty good, shifts okay. Still a lot of work to do. I need to get it tuned. I need alignment. I need to put the interior back together. Still got a lot of stuff to do, but making huge progress from where I was just a few days ago to where it is right now. Huge progress. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Check out the playlist for this car and a lot of my other videos. I've been doing this for a couple of years now. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to share it with your friends. Every little bit helps out the channel. If you don't follow me on Instagram, at Regular Guy Garage. As always, take care, and we'll see you on the next one.